And a good Monday. It is Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. What's going on, Figgie? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning to you as well. And this is one of my reasons why, a little bit tardy.
No. I think Nicole and I, who headed digital at Pix 11, I think we have to now just adjust to Figgie time. Is basically.
Oh,
I think we got it back on. I think anytime we say we're going to do something at a certain time when we're doing Figgie and the Moose, is it fair? I mean, is it fair? I mean, I don't think it's unfair, right? I think we tack on.
I like to give you guys, some time to catch up. It's been a weekend, so
Right. People don't know behind the scenes. Like Figgie and I will text beforehand, like the night before, or we'll talk. When we see each other at the studio the night before, be like, "What time we're going to do the digital show?" We come up with a time that's amicable for both of us, and then usually, more often than not, I think I've been late twice. To be perfectly honest with you.
Oh my God! This is like the argument about who's sick more at the job.
No. It's not a matter of who's sick more. I mentally I have to make the adjustment.
There's a little sliding scale.
I have to just go, and whenever we set a time, I'll just add 10 minutes to it, and then log in then. And then I know Figgie.
Oh man,
that's fair, right?
That is fair. That is fair. In this digital world, in this working from home, there are things that happen. You got to give a little bit of leeway. I get it.
No, I understand that. I'm not being critical. I'm just trying to say, like,
no. I concur.
Okay, you concur.
I concur.
All right. I don't know. Like, where do you? I mean, the Mets stink. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's really
That's where you start. That's what you go into.
They do.
Not the happy things.
No, there's no positive things. I mean, 12-15. They're 12-3-12 in their last 15 games. They just got outscored by a Pirate team that was 18 games under 500 coming into the series. They got outscored 30-4, Figgie. I mean, and throw in the middle of like a nice ice cream sandwich on a hot summer night, and they threw in a players-only meeting after the Saturday 9-2 loss, in which Brazelbaum basically walked onto the mound with like a can of kerosene to basically light the game on fire. It was, an unbelievably lost weekend for the New York Mets, and right now, there's no other way to cut it. Like, this isn't a week. This isn't a bad weekend series against the Rays. This is a sustained stretch of bad baseball where, where do you turn? The staff stinks. Frankie, what we saw yesterday? The Frankie montage that you saw for 6 rehab starts in the minor leagues. That's the montage you saw yesterday.
He was playing against the Pirates, so he thought it was more like a rehab start, and then he got his butt handed to him. So live and learn. You can't ease into it at the major league level, no matter who you're pitching against or playing against. You can't just go through the motions, and we've seen a lot of that. A lot of lethargic looking at bats, a lot of lifeless baseball. It's been a while now. You talk about a malaise, just the way that guys are going through this, and you keep hearing all the rhetoric. We'll snap out of this. Good teams go through this, and all those wonderful things. I have to go by the closest experience that I've seen of this in recent memory. And who would that have been? Oh, yeah, the Yankees last year when they had those 30 games that they lost 22 of, and everybody went into panic mode. And I believe the Yankees went all the way to the World Series as well. So
they did.
Listen, I'd rather it be now than in September, right? So timing is everything when it comes to things like,
That's fair. I'm not telling you that, but I mean, facts are facts. Well, what do you repair first? I mean, what do you repair first? So you look at it, Reed Garrett's ERA in June, as they were in the last of June, is 7.5. Brazelbaum's ERA is 13.
Yep.
At a starting rotation, Peterson has soured the last 2 starts. There is no Kodai Senga. Shaw Manaea had a cortisone shot last week. So you've got Peterson, you've got Frankie Montas, you've got Clay Holmes, who easy guy to root for anytime you say Clay Holmes, you got to say that. But Clay Holmes, who is as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, we're going to start to hit the precipice of him going into uncharted territory. And he's a guy that also, as he did 2 starts ago, throw like 195 pitches in 4 innings because he loses the strike zone. Then you throw in Paul Blackburn. The starting rotation is not particularly dominant. You have a bullpen that is gassed outside of Diaz, and then you have a lineup that outside of 4 guys, if they don't hit, you don't score.
Yeah.
It's runners in scoring position all season long. That is not something that's a 15-game thing. That's been an 85-game thing. So they've been terrible with runners in scoring position, regardless of who is up at the plate all season long. So what do you repair first? Like, it's okay to look at last year. I'm not telling you that the season's over or it's lost, but how do you fix it? How do you be able to rectify it? Like, where do you turn? Because who actually thinks right now the Mets, any turn, like, who do you count on to get quality starts now to give your team a little bit of extra giddy up?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the one guy that you thought you could count on is David Peterson. And ever since his complete game, he went into that next game and he pitched very, very well, got himself into the 8th inning, which to me, again, I feel in this day and age, ill-advised to even push him that far. He left the game with a situation of first and second, nobody out. They bring in the reliever who they believe in, and Reed Garrett gives up a hit to the first guy. Now it's bases loaded and almost wiggled out of it and 1 pitch away with 2 strikes. So Ozuna unloads the bases. Game is tied, then 4-4. They wind up losing, in the 9th. These are the things that, teams not only go through, but kind of you saw the writing on the wall with this, with the amount of usage early on with the bullpen. So the balance of how much you use your starters, how many starters you use, and, when it comes to injuries, how delicate the balance is and what you have planned and what reality is. You can plan all you want and you can have 10 pitchers that you feel very confident in that could start a major league ball game for you. But at the same time, if you don't have your frontline starters, and that's Senga and Minaya, Senga was doing fantastic for his part, which again would lengthen out the bullpen, would give you another day of rest for most of these guys. When Peterson is on his normal rest, the last 2 times he has struggled in his last 2 outings, giving up back-to-back 5-run outings. The big inning has happened countless number of times in this 15-game stretch, where it's literally, if you can remove the big inning, these are games that are winnable ball games, but the big inning, the crooked number, that continues to haunt the Mets in a major way, like not being able to stop the bleeding, little things of when you have a catcher who kind of has a feel for the game and can stop things, okay, we're getting into, you threw 2 balls in a row. I know it's not, time to go out there now, but we got to have some more preemptive strikes by the catchers and coaches, and not letting it get out of hand, not sitting back and saying, just wait it out. Let's see how he does. But there's no time for that right now. And every single win, even the one that we talked about where Edwin Diaz had to come in, right? We're like, you had to have that game won. But when else are you going to pitch Edwin Diaz when you're losing in all these games? Then you don't feel with Edwin Diaz. I wish there was an easy clear-cut answer, because here's what you did. You tried to shake up the team a little bit, right? You sent Alvarez down, you sent Luis Acuna down. You had a chance to send.
That didn't work.
You kept Mauricio up, for all his talent that he has, and didn't keep Young. Not that Young was tearing the cover off the ball, but you did things in a way that, and Vientos comes back, you insert him right into the lineup, and I don't know if he has a hit yet. I think he has that little slow dribbler, to third base. I wasn't sure if they scored a hit or an error afterwards. I heard they might change it, but he has maybe 1 hit. He has looked lost at the plate continuously right now, and he was, and his interview was, today was I was a little off, but I feel like I'm real close. How close? Tomorrow. And then he went out there, and of course, he hasn't had a hit since. It's things like this where we say it every year as pundits of the sports. We sit there and say, I've never seen anything like this before, or these things happen. Those easy cliches. How to fix this, because you're already touching your depth way beyond They're now, remember I think a week ago we talked about how the Mets had 24 pitchers. They're at 30 now.
No, right. No, I get it. But I mean, you got to do something, right? So I don't disagree with anything you said. So, I mean, but they've sent guys down. They've had a players only meeting. The bullpen's been overused because the starting rotation doesn't consistently go deep into games.
Yeah.
Blackburn going out there, even with the rain, giving you 1 inning on Saturday was terrible. But even with that being said, it was a 3-2 game till the bottom of the 8th inning. And then the Pirates go out there and score 6 runs. And then Montas was embarrassingly bad on Sunday afternoon. So where do you go? Let's be honest. I mean, I think what we saw from Vientos was more of a mirage a year ago than reality based on the way he has looked this year. I mean, that seems in that season's like kind of disappearing like a fart in the wind. I mean, based on what you've seen from Vientos and him going out there saying, well, I've been humbled in the first half before he went on the IL. Well, that shows me a guy also that didn't necessarily go to work during the course of the offseason either and thought maybe he probably figured it out. I mean, do you call up Jonah Tang? Do you call up Nolan McLean? Do you do something does that reek of desperation? Do you have a possibility of if you rush prospects up or pitching prospects up because, then you are able to, then you stunt their growth or enable them to become what you think they could potentially be because it reeks of desperation here. The problem is there's no easy fix. The Mets need a bat. Yeah. They need arms in the bullpen. They need guys that they can lean on to get consistent outs. They also need, I think it's a trickle-down effect. They need starters that are going to give them quality starts and keep them into games. And you're not getting that right now. And it's hard to go out there and win games when your starting rotation for the better part of it, is decidedly below average. And as good as they were for the first, 8-9 weeks of this MLB regular season, that's as bad as they've been now. So, David Stern says he met with the media last week, didn't throw his team under the bus. And this is not a Mendoza problem. This isn't all this stuff like Carlos Mendoza forgotten how to manage, but you have to address something here because to think now you take on a Brewer team that's good, right?
Yep.
You didn't even see Paul Skeens this weekend and got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates, who aren't a good baseball team. And they teed off on you and your staff is non-competitive. How do you fix that?
Even the starting pitchers that they faced, right? It was like their first win in 10 starts. You heard all these crazy numbers about each and every one of the Pittsburgh starters and how Pittsburgh got definitely fat all over the weekend on the New York Mets. And you always say you don't want to play down to the level of your competition, but Jesus, play to the level of competition. You weren't even competing. It was a non-compete weekend, and a weekend that you had a players-only meeting in which like 6 or 7 guys spoke, as you heard Nimmo say, Nimmo not being one of them. Nimmo, who should be one of them because he's a long-term Met, signed up for 6 years was his deal. So you would figure one of the longest standing Mets would be one of the people to speak. And I think, I've been in those meetings. There's so many cliches that get thrown around. There's so many, do they always work? No, God, no. But last year seemed to fix all their ills because they went out there and just had fun, played baseball. I think what you had was a team that peaked so soon and was really peaking soon without everything going right for them, without having all the pieces in place, and you started thinking, man, the depth of this team is exceptional. You got the prospects still on the rise. You haven't seen any of their prospects. We haven't seen the Jet Williams, the Cliffords, the Gilberts, all those names that you heard in spring training that were fighting for jobs. And the guys that you're seeing come up, like we've seen this act before. Like Beatty gets hot, gets cold. He disappears the whole 9 yards. He gets sent out. He's been there because Vientos has been so terrible and injured. Then you look at Mauricio, and you're still clamoring for the 23 games of excellence that he had, 2 years ago. That all these little things are adding up because the bottom of the lineup, as you said, is a non-factor. And when I say non-factor, it is as soon as you get something going, one of those guys in the bottom of the lineup. We saw Tyrone Taylor do a lot of good things last year, timely hitting, especially down in the clutch in September, October. We're not seeing that this year. We're not seeing those at-bats that are competitive at-bats at the bottom of the lineup. There's no There's no help on the horizon. There's no one. You could go and look in AAA right now at the roster. There's nothing there that you're going to be like, oh, God, we got to bring this guy up.
Right. I mean, you're going to call up one of your minor leaguers. I mean, what is this lineup going to do against Jacob Mizorowski for the Milwaukee Brewers, who you're going to see all 6-7 of them in game 2 of this series? It gets going on Tuesday night out in Milwaukee. I mean, when they were being shut down by this Pirate staff. So, I mean, there's no easy answers. I get it's a long MLB season, right? So, I mean, it's going to happen. You can go through some struggles and everything like that, but you know, it's amazing when you think about it as we're sitting here in the month of June. Tomorrow's the 1st of July. That Juan Soto had his best month as a Met when we were caught up in the conversation of what was Soto's feelings on a day in, day out basis.
Right.
It was like a Stuart Smalley SNL skit. And, you know, the team was winning games, but that wasn't good enough, right? Because we had to figure out whether or not Soto was happy or not. Now Soto looks happy. He's fine. He's hitting the cover off the baseball. He's doing all his things, right? We understand he's not had those, clutch moments yet as a New York Met, and the team stinks. So What would you rather be talking about? Would you rather be what's important here? Like the important thing is that you're winning games, and that's the point. The point now is the Mets have got real tangible issues that are not easy fixes. The lineup is one thing. The starting rotation, because if you're consistently going to go out there and not get quality starts every turn through, or 3/5 of those turns through, your bullpen's going to be exhausted, and they are gassed.
Yeah, no, you see it. You see it on every single one of their faces when they get out there. Brazoban looks like a shell of himself, a guy that you could count on. I used to always say to guys, watch the relievers early on that are doing so well. Just watch. It'll hit them. It'll hit them when they become a guy used in a different role. When you're expecting that same performance from a guy in a high leverage role and it doesn't happen, and you're like, what happened to him? You know what happened to him? It's easier to pitch against the 7, 8, and 9 hitters with nobody on, nobody out than it is when you've got bases drunk and nobody out and you're facing the 4-hole hitter or the top of the Braves lineup. Those things are always going to be easier. And so now you're getting where you have to slide pieces into different situations, and based on performance, you're like, okay, he deserves an opportunity to do this. That's not how it was intended. That's not how it was drawn up. And so you're seeing it's being stretched way too thin right now. And there's nobody, like you said, Stanek has been up and down. Garrett's have been up and down, and Brazoban's been up and down with their performance. It's been a tale of two different kinds of pitchers. And and I'm going to tell you right now, they are hurting, and not 100%, but going out there because they're being called upon. They're not feeling their best. The coach, the manager goes around in batting practice and taps guys on the butt. Hey, how you doing? Can you give me an inning today? And everybody to a man will always say yes. These guys are on very, very. They're treading on thin ice of just a catastrophe, because if you lose one of those guys to an injury, now you're really going to be struggling for the rest of the foreseeable future.
Right. For sure. I don't think there's any easy answers, but this weekend was probably one of the more embarrassing series I've seen for the Mets.
No doubt.
In quite some time. I mean, it really
no
is.
doubt.
And, obviously the real meeting and the players only meeting they had on Saturday post game when they lost the Pirates 9-2, not a great impact after getting outscored 12-1. On Sunday afternoon out in Pittsburgh. We'll come back. We'll talk about what's next. Look ahead to the little Yankees-Jays later on tonight as well. We'll do that next. It's Figgie and the Moose with you on this Monday right here, Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose. Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa with you right here on Pix 11 Plus. Hopefully everyone out there had themselves a wonderful weekend. Lost weekend for the Mets. Yankees, they took a series against the Oakland Athletics. I mean, A's aren't particularly good. Offense got going. Chisholm has turned a corner. They're in Toronto to begin a series against the Jays later on tonight, Figgie. But just like we've talked about, I don't think New York baseball right now is exactly great. Yankees are not as bad as the Mets. But I don't think they're right now in a position where you feel really good about what they're potentially going to be at the end of the season.
Yeah. Listen, at this moment, you're seeing sharks finally. You see some shark fins around you as the Yankees are on that raft up above the American League East, right? You see Toronto popping their head up. You see the Tampa Bay Rays are right there on your tail now all of a sudden. And it was a comfortable lead when we started the month of June. And all of a sudden, Tampa Bay Rays have been, one of the best teams in baseball in the month of June. And they don't look like they're slowing down. They've always kind of had that underdog mentality and, just find a way to get it done. And whereas the Yankees, I remember last year it was funny because with the OMG movement and everybody was talking about how much fun it was going on in Queens. With the Yankees, it's like a Fortune 500 company, and you start looking at it based on, what quarter are we in and did we meet expectations? And if we didn't exceed expectations, then we didn't meet expectations. You know what I'm saying? So with the Yankees, there's always going to be, is it enough? Can it be enough? At the end of the day, yes, they're going to continue to be at the top. Do I like it being a more competitive American League East? Absolutely. Do I enjoy them, having to fight and scratch? Absolutely. That makes for great baseball. And I think we're still seeing – I just watched Judge go through a stretch for – I think it was 27, 28 at-bats. He was batting $180, and no one really noticed or said boo about it. Now he pops out of it by beating up on the poor Sacramento A's and hit some home runs, and now he's all back. He's all better just in time for, this next stretch. So yeah, the Yankees, I think for all the things that are wrong with them, they still have enough where if, we've seen them get hot at times. Bellinger gets hot, he gets going. Chaz Chisholm, since he's come off the IL and playing at 70%, has been a much better version of himself, not pressing so much, but still, annoying the hell out of other teams. It still comes back down to I think the two biggest keys for that team. And that's the three biggest. It's the youth movement. If you're not getting anything out of Wells and Dominguez and, the shortstop, you're not getting things out of those guys. Yeah, you're not getting things out of those guys, then it's really going to be very difficult because those are the guys that they get pitched to and dominated and continue to stop any kind of, offensive output at the bottom of the line. Very similar to the Mets, but at the same time, they're still finding a way to get it done. You have two starters that have been outstanding at the top of that rotation.
Yeah, and Fried and Rodon. I'm not the biggest Carlos Rodon fan, but he's been really, really good this season. So Yankees open up a series in Toronto. Mets off day today. They begin the series in Milwaukee against the Brewers tomorrow night. So, and then we've got Mets-Yankees later on this week on the 4th of July, which is crazy when you think about it.
America.
That makes no sense, let's be honest.
Of all games that you really needed a big crowd for, what really makes no sense about it? What time does it start?
Yeah, like 3:00.
Because it's going to be a great fireworks show at 6:00.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like
it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, you're not even going to have an OM. Huh?
Is that a Fox?
Yeah.
Is it?
I believe so. And you're not even going to have an OMG concert to hold you over until it gets dark. Like, what are you doing?
There's no. Well, maybe that's what the Mets need. They need their next big,
Let me tell you what they need. Do you know what they need? They need a
gimmick. What's their next big gimmick? Because last year they a lot. They pulled out all punches. What's their next big gimmick?
They need an old priest. They need a young priest. They need a live chicken. Candlesticks make great wedding gifts.
Pedro Serrano and Major League.
We need Joe Boo. We need to give Joe Boo his rum. Anything and everything that under the sun is what the Mets need to shake this this current status or state of the of baseball in New York. Let's get June over with. Move on to July, and you know what? Come out punching the Mets Yankee series. Maybe that sparks both teams to wake up.
Hopefully. It can't be like this the rest of the season. I'll be honest with you. It'd be tough. Get us to football, which is like right around the corner. Think about that. Football's right around.
I know. Training happened fast. Can't wait to watch 3-win seasons. Yes.
I know. That's fair. Well, we can watch the rest of the league, and we all love the NFL. Figgie, great job as always, brother.
You're the best.
Maybe tomorrow night's win day for the Mets. Maybe. At least we don't have to watch them lose today.
Yeah, there's no shot they lose today.
No.
You could bank that
and knock them straight on the golf course today. All right.
I wish.
All right. Yeah. What do you mean? You're gonna go out there. You're gonna go to the driving range. You've got like all kinds of everything.
I got all kinds of everything. I got all kinds of time on my hands.
You got the range finder. You got everything.
The bush. No, I can't wait when we go play in the Cone event. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, that's going to be great. No, I know you're going to destroy me. I'm not a very good golfer, but we'll have fun.
We will have fun.
August 7th. Nice.
All right, brother.
New Jersey. Anyway, have yourself a wonderful Monday, everybody. Thanks for watching. This has been Figgie and the Moose. Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus.